I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, can I get an approval of agenda?
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda for February 2nd, 2021 as published.
I'll second that.
Larry? Okay.
Aye.
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 Okay, agenda is approved. Minutes, any corrections, changes, additions to the minutes from last month?
Not that I saw.
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes from January 5th Planning Commission meeting.
I'll second.
Okay.
Oh.
Gardner?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right, minutes have been approved. I see no unfinished business. New business, request minor subdivision 20007 Lazy J Ranch. Sean, you want to go ahead and give us the staff report, and then we'll have the applicant come up?
We can do that. Good afternoon. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. So the department has reviewed that, the submittal, and then finds it to be a complete and true representation of the request as stated herein. There is two contingency items with this. One contingency, which is adding a couple notes to the plat. One is access, limiting the access to one of the lots to one of the streets, and then the other was just drainage. So a few minor changes to the plat, and this one is all set.
Is the applicant here? Mr., let's see, what was the name? Here, Leland Jenkins? Oh,
Yes.
Okay, all right. Just tell us briefly what your plan is and...
Basically what it is the, it was 12 acres with the residence and barns, garages, and my mom and dad lived there. My mom passed away in September and left it to me. We don't need the residence, so we decided to make a split off and keep the hayfield on the west side, and that's basically it.
Okay, all right. Planning Commission.
The house was vacant, is it still vacant?
Yes.
What's the, any intention?
We're intending to sell it.
So the hayfield, that will stay agricultural use
Yes.
then? That you don't plan to build
No.
on that then? Okay.
You're going to retain a couple of shares of water for the residents?
Yes, three shares.
3, is it? Okay.
Yeah, we've got 3 shares, and then we have 10 shares for the rest, so.
Yeah, that allow them to, what, irrigate that south part?
Yeah, there's a little hayfield on the south side, and then a little grass pasture on the east side of the house and stuff, so they'll still have water to water both of those, so. And my son he's been taking care of the fields for several years, and we just decided that that'll be enough water for those 2 little fields, so.
Make a nice place for somebody.
Yeah.
Very nice place.
Yeah, it's just that we didn't need another residence. We all have our places in Penrose, so we didn't want to go through having renters and.
Sure. Other questions? Questions, comments? Looks pretty straightforward to me.
Yep.
I'm open to a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve MS 20-007 Lazy J Ranch with
You got the drainage report and the driveway access.
those contingencies.
And the driveway access will be off of Grant Street on the west side of the
So
field.
the contingency is some changes to the plat, which is 2 statements to the plat. One of those is replacement of any non-conforming structures shall be in compliance with the development requirements of the zone district at the time of construction. And the other is that access to Lot 2 will be limited to Grant Street.
But they won't get the permit till they determine the building site.
That means we don't plan on building anytime soon, so I would just leave that open if somebody in the future ever wanted to build.
The plat report will be recorded, and then when they decide on the building site, they'll pull a permit for the access. Off of Grant.
Straight.
Yeah, there is currently, there's an existing gate access off of Grant. It's on the Grant side of 7th, and Grant is, we've got a gate in there already, has been there for years, so.
That may be where the access becomes.
We need a second.
I'll second. Second the motion.
I think Gardner got there first. Sorry, Mark. Any further discussion? Gardner?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, item B,
Larry,
converse.
you want to turn on your microphone?
Microphone. Everybody else got theirs on?
Yes.
Okay, request commercial development plan 2001 Yard Crafters. Go ahead, Sean, give us your report.
Okay, so the department has reviewed and finds the application be a complete and true representation of the request as stated herein. There is some waiver requests. One is hard surfacing of the parking area. The other is landscaping of the parking area. And the third is a little bit of the buffering requirement. There's two contingencies, approved FC dot access permit, and then some revisions and approval of the drainage plan. And then there is 3 recommended conditions. One is the installation of a hydrant is requested by the Kansas City Fire District. The second is that the fencing be installed at an angle at the intersection of Red Canyon Road and High Street to not interfere with the visual aspects for traffic, kind of give that visual traffic triangle in that area. And then third, an easement be established for the drainage channel located along the eastern boundary.
All right, Matt, are you doing the report?
Sean, you want to put,
Hold on just a second, Matt. Okay, go ahead.
What would you like me to say? So, Sean pretty much covered all of it. We are asking for waivers of the hard surfacing. This is a landscaping company. They'll have piles of aggregate and landscaping material throughout the parking area, so hard surfacing doesn't seem appropriate. Landscaping with a parking area, typically that's made for larger parking areas to break up a lot of the parking areas and things when they're a large parking area. In this case, it's a small parking area within the 2 acres there. And then the buffering. So buffering, to the south, we have a residence, and there's already a 6-foot wood privacy fence along that line, and then the building is set to that side too, so all of the activity and everything will be to the north of all that. To the east and the north is industrial. To the east, Lippis has his excavating storage facility there, and so it kind of matches with what we're doing there. And then to the north is Avalanche Excavating, along with all of their landscaping materials, so they have the piles and everything sitting out there. To the west is actually owned by the city. Its intention is to be a future stormwater detention facility. And so there won't be any impact to that. And so we are asking for a waiver of the buffering, especially since the south line is already buffered. So
Anything else?
that's it.
this is a commercial enterprise, not, will there be any retail?
No retail.
It's just storage.
Yep. So the staff comes, this will be the offices for yard crafters, and then staff will park there, they'll load up and go to wherever they're working.
Let me clarify, so the waiver request is for the buffering, not the fencing?
Right. Our intention is to fence it for security purposes, so people won't steal everything. We just don't want to have to buffer.
Except on the south side where there's an existing
Right.
fence.
I mean, and that's, typically you'd buffer it between a residence and a commercial type use. In this case, it's already there, so.
I didn't see the fence on the south side. How did I miss that then?
I don't know. I wasn't with you.
I was looking, I saw the
That's-
chain link fence there, but I didn't see the buffer.
They, trying to remember, they may have a little chain link just right along the front, but then it turns into a privacy wood fence down most of
Okay.
that side.
Must have had my blinders on.
And then the horses in the back, they're kind of open, so.
Why can I see the horses through the fence then?
I don't know. You have powers.
Okay, all right. Okay, guys, what do you got?
The hydrology report that was submitted with this application is quite extensive. And the lay of the land requires it, I'm sure. But where that, on the south side, where that wooden fence is there going to be adequate protection since the property is quite a bit higher than the resident next door?
So there's already somewhat of a swale going down that side that's already catching a lot of the stormwater and everything, and it actually sits below the adjacent grade on to the south. And so there shouldn't be any impact with that. Most of our drainage is now being taken across the center of the property to the southeast corner of our property, so there's going to be very little stormwater actually impacting that existing swale.
And that's where it catches the stormwater facility, the future.
Right,
So,
exactly.
what's the length of construction?
As fast as possible. I think the intention is to get going on it right away, so.
Okay.
Do you know what all's out in that piece of ground? It looks like it's been a dumping area for 100 years.
It looks like it. A lot of concrete, it looks like, a lot of people just dumped whatever they dug up. My clients are going to clean all that up, remove what needs to be removed, utilize some of it for maybe some embankment. But yeah, they are going to clean that up and make it look nice.
It'll look better when you're done with it.
Yeah.
Now, somebody say something about a fire hydrant? One of the contingencies.
So that was one of the recommended conditions, and that was a request from the Canyon Cedar Fire Protection District.
Who was responsible for installing that? You guys have
Yeah.
tap line?
Yeah, we'll take care of it. We've already worked with the Park Center Water District. They're going to allow us to come through the same trench as our service, and so they're working with us on that as well, so.
So you don't have a problem with that then?
Nope.
Mark, you got anything?
I do not.
Larry?
No, I'm okay.
How do you guys feel about the landscaping and the parking?
Well, they're asking for a waiver of hard surface. What kind of parking, are they going to have a gravel surface up and around the building, their office and stuff? Is that-
Yeah, the handicap space will be hard surfaced, but yeah, everything else will be kind of a hard gravel, compacted gravel, something that'll stay and won't run off, so.
As dry as it is up there and being a commercial enterprise, I'm okay with anything they do is going to look better than it does now.
Okay. Just thought we should discuss it. Larry, anything?
Nothing.
Well, you guys are easy today. Okay. I'm open to a motion then. There's no more discussion.
I'll make a motion that we approve SRU 20-011, or correction, CDP 20-001 for yard crafters as submitted.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Does that include the waivers, the contingencies, and the conditions? That motion?
Yeah, sorry.
Is that part of your second then? Okay, good. All right, okay. Any further discussion?
I said second.
Okay, no, you did, you're good, okay. All right, okay, Larry?
Aye.
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 Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope it looks better when you're done out there. Make that fence more visible, would you, Matt?
It's right here in the picture.
That's right there.
Okay, moving on. Request SRU 200011, Howard Creek Farm. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay, so with this one, it's a little bit different. This one has had a TUP approved for the last 3 years, so they've kind of been in operation. Part of that was a kind of agreement with them to see if this was going to be viable, and then we would get the SRU application. So they have operated for the last 3 years. We haven't had any issues, any violations, any complaints on the use so far this year. All the minimum requirements have been in. There is a waiver request of hard surfacing of the parking area. The parking is limited with the use, and they ship people into the site and try to limit the traffic impacts. So we don't have any concerns with that. The contingency approval of the drainage plan, there's a few little things that is being worked out right now. There wasn't too much on that one. And then the recommended conditions are all the standard SRU conditions, and one, that the applicants provide proof of proper disposal of pumping of the restroom facilities. So for this use and with the TUP, they were using restroom trailers and then a chemical toilet to address the sanitation during that TUP. So they're requesting that be able to continue rather than submitting and putting in a standard OWTS system. And so if that does get approved, we at least want to make sure that that's getting cleaned and pumped out and we don't have anything hitting the ground and those type of issues. The second would be cessation would be allowed through November and ending in May. They don't do any activities during that time. And so per the regulations, if they don't have anything during those 6 months and they don't request cessation, then it could be viewed as if they're terminating the SRU. So allowing that cessation, and having that as a condition, then we don't have to have that issue. And then the third was just make sure no parking along the roadway occurs per FCDOT recommendation, and we wouldn't want that either.
Okay. You folks the applicants, I think?
Yep.
Come on up.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
How are you, gentlemen? Ms. Jackson? You want us to give you an overview real
Sure.
quick? Okay, great. As Sean mentioned, we've been at it for 3 years. So we bought 11.17 acres in Howard 7 years ago. And over the last 3 years, we spent 2 years on construction, bringing in a historic barn from Indiana.
Could you wait just a second?
Yep.
Could you close that door for me? Thank you.
So my wife has been doing wedding planning for 15 years. So the idea was with our farm, we've got pasture, great views of the Sangres, and we also sit on the Arkansas, 1,100 feet of riverfront, really isolated from our neighbors. The idea is to do 18 to 20 weddings a year there for folks that would like to get married in Fremont County. And so last year we did 7. Got halved by the pandemic, but we're learning, and this year should be pretty good. So happy to answer any questions you may have on it. The idea too is that, just to reiterate, we bring people in on buses. They can park a few vehicles there, parents, grandparents, stuff like that, but the idea is to not let them drive the River Canyon after socializing. And so, and minimum impact, it's a beautiful farm, so that's the goal.
So you're shuttling them from their lodging, or is there a pickup point in Salida, Canyon City?
Most in Salida, yeah. We're picking up in a couple places, so typically it's a school bus that brings in the folks, or 20-person bands.
Okay. All right.
And you have those vehicles now, or do you rent them commercially?
We get, that's a third-party service that they have to participate in, yeah.
Liability.
Yeah.
I'll have to say it's a beautiful building. I live
Thanks.
up in the area. I've been
Okay.
watching it for several years. And
Okay.
I really like what you've done with the property there. So.
I'm an inch shorter, but yeah, it was good.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so what would your typical you bring some folks in on the bus, but as far as autos, because you're asking for a waiver for hard surfacing, how many vehicles typically come to the event? Do you expect?
Yep. So we have a ton of TZAC gravel put in, and so where we have is 6 spots for our guests. So that's typically the bride and groom and maybe some relatives. And then we do have some vendors that will leave vehicles there. So catering companies, for example, may pull in on the gravel and they may unload. So I think we'll have an average about 10 to 12 vehicles at any given event. And those folks typically come in the afternoon. So you get 6 cars in the morning, and then you get the vendors start coming in the afternoon and parking, and then the shuttles come in usually around 4:30, and then they're out of there at 11. So pretty minimal impact.
So, and the shuttle is part of the service you provide.
We make our vendors acquire a contract with the shuttle company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a third party that, it's a requirement that they have third-party shuttles. They're only allowed 6 parking spots, so it's just part of the deal. When you come to get married, this is what you do.
So that's a condition of
Yeah,
them
the
using
contract.
your facility.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
That explains that.
yeah.
Do you have to haul your potable water from Pagosa Springs?
Yeah, just for the, it's a really, it's a real fancy,
Yeah, you're right.
it's a real fancy restroom trailer. So instead of dealing with septic and all that out in the middle of the field there, we just bought one of those fancy restroom trailers with air conditioning and lighting. So it only uses 300 gallons, but really per wedding it's about 100 gallons for washing and all that, yeah.
So you bring them in for each event? Or are you going to just?
No, we own it.
Oh, you own
It's
it.
sitting there, yeah, it's
Oh.
sitting there.
It's
Yeah.
parked.
Okay, so, and the company that pumps up is out of Poncha?
Salida.
Oh, okay.
What's Ace's company?
CP Portables.
CP Portables, yeah. They usually come the next day and clear it.
Yeah, they come every day. Like if a wedding's on Saturday, they come Monday.
So they service the area?
Yeah, they do a lot of the portables. And that's what Sean also mentioned, just to note that we do have it's not a handicap unit, but we bring in a handicap portable, typical construction that's sitting on a slab.
That they also clean
Yeah.
for us.
I'm assuming you have bands at night and all that. You never had any complaints. I didn't make it up there, but you physically distanced enough from your neighbors to be good.
Yeah, we also monitor that very carefully. So at 10 o'clock, we start to, contractually, we can turn it down a little.
Yeah, it's in our contract that they can't go above a certain subwoofer and decibel level, so to not bother anybody. And all weddings end at 11 p.m., so guests are gone by 11:05 and vendors are out by midnight, so it's pretty low impact.
So you're making the neighbors happy?
Some of them really love it.
We talked to all of them before we did the project, and we've been nothing but courteous, and nobody's came over and had any issues. So
Obviously, they're not here.
yeah, they're not here.
Well, one of them is John Moore, and you know he would be here.
The closest one, actually.
That was my next comment.
He likes to sit on his porch and drink beers and listen to the music.
No, he doesn't
so.
drink, but yeah.
I have a question about your ADA spot. Is that paved? Is it, or do they not actually get out there? Do they get out at the drop-off and then somebody else parks the car for them?
Yeah, what typically has happened, and we have had some folks that have been handicapped, to the north side of the barn, it's all gravelled up, so they can pull all the way in, and then they hit a 6 by 55 side, 6 inch by 6 feet wide by 55 sidewalk, and it's sloped down to the bathrooms, ADA compliant, and so we can literally get them right there. If they go down to the ceremony site, which is by the river, we take them down actually in a Kawasaki mule.
Okay.
Yep.
Other questions, comments? So we're okay with the drainage as it is, Sean? That was,
There were just a couple little things that is getting buttoned up, so, but yeah, for the most part, we are good with that.
yeah, with the big pond they've got, I don't see that they would need to build another one anyway, but, okay.
Do you guys utilize tents also? No? Everything is in the structures you have? You don't have tents? Okay.
Yeah, it can hold up to 200. big space inside there. And so haven't had to add, and we don't want to block the pasture and all that. It's part of the use.
Anyone else?
It's an Indiana barn you got?
Yes, sir.
It's a really pretty barn, Gardner. If you're going up the highway, you can see it from Highway 50.
Yeah, I'll get up. I didn't make it up there, but I will. Take my wife up.
Okay.
Want to see a picture?
There's one in here.
Must be like that fence. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Have anything?
I'm okay.
I'm open to a motion.
I make a motion, we approve SRU 20-011. Were there any actual contingencies?
So there's one contingency approval of the drainage plan.
Okay,
And so.
But you're working on that.
Yeah, and one quick thing on this too. So relooking at the cessation part, that is included in their application, so we wouldn't need to make that as a condition. So we can remove that one. So that would leave the proof of disposal pumping, the restroom facilities, and then parking along the roadway.
And the waiver request of the paving the parking area.
And the waiver request, correct.
Okay.
Okay, is that in your motion, Gardner?
Yes.
Okay, all right, very good. All right,
I'll second that.
okay. Any further discussion? Larry?
Aye.
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 Okay, good luck.
Best of luck.
All right. I should have mentioned that we should have approved all the criteria for the special review uses, but we've already passed that, and I think everything is covered here, so I think we're good. All right. We'll have to look at that on the next one, too. Okay. I would just add the finding that, that all of the approval criteria for special review use permits have been met. All right. Okay. Okay, SRU 20010, Desert Reef Hot Spring modification. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay, so with this one, the original approval was a CUP, which was CUP 90-012. Since that time, both the use of the pool, which is in operation now, and then the proposed modification, which is to do the campground area, are both under the SRU category. And so we will be changing this from a CUP to an SRU, and so that's why that number is on there. The department has reviewed the application and finds it to be a complete and true representation of the request as stated herein. There is a waiver request for hard surfacing of the parking area, which does exclude the ADA spots, which will be hard surfaced concrete, asphalt, one of those that would meet the requirements. There is one contingency items, and that is to provide comments or documents from EVRAZ that the additional traffic over the bridge that spans the Minnequaw Canal, that they find that acceptable and don't have any concerns with that additional traffic going over that bridge. And then there's 4 recommended conditions outside of those that are originally set in the resolution for the CUP. The first one is that requirements as submitted and agreed upon by the Fremont County Department of Transportation regarding the roadway. So that was posting some signs limiting speed limits, those type of things, that those be adhered to. That the applicant provide proof of approval of the additional well or conversion when that is to happen. There is a current well on there, and they do have permission to use that, but they are looking to expand to have more water available. So once that gets approved, to provide those documents. The third is proof that 5 CCR 100-35, which regulates pools and hot springs from the Colorado Department of Public Health, that those regulations are adhered to, and that they submit any inspections upon request or upon inspection by the department. And then the fourth would be the signs be posted at the bridge indicating the restrictions load-wise and that type of stuff.
All right.
So Evraz owns that bridge?
Correct.
Okay.
It was formed, a lot of the documents say CF&I, which has now been converted to Everest, so.
Can you clarify, so the signs posted at the bridge, are you saying that they still need to fix the bridge and post signs at 20 tons? Or are
No,
you
so
saying that
the-
you're going to let them off with the bridge the way it is and post signs at 10 tons?
So part of the, let me find it here. That's part of the comment on the review on it, is that it be posted there at the bridge for the weight standard on that.
Now, the current weight standard, according to this, is only 10 tons now instead of the original 20 tons we looked at. Is that?
I can clarify any questions on that.
Come on up.
Please, yes.
So it is a 20-ton rated bridge. So we had an engineer come out who we contracted through Three Rocks. So what she had recommended was a few updates to bring it up to 20 tons. She said it's absolutely fine at 10 ton right now. Technically, it's Evra's responsibility to make those additions or adjustments, but we're entirely fine with covering that cost ourselves. They're pretty minor. She said, as long as you do those, and she lists those out in the sealed letter, that would be better.
So how long will it take to get that done then?
Oh, not long. It's really just, so the actual I-beam supports underneath are in great shape. So it's really just the top layer of wood. And just, it helps ensure that the wheels are going over the I-beams is really the bulk of it.
Okay, all right.
But relatively low. I know Roe, who's the previous owner, she had worked with them about a year ago for updating some of the wood. They had no problem with any of the work previously. And if they want to cover the cost, that's fine. If they would like for us to cover the cost, I'm fine with that as well. It's pretty minor work.
Okay.
What kind of loads are your construction trucks? You're going to do a lot of upgrading here. Are they going to be under that limit?
So there's actually 3 routes to get to the property. So we actually used one of them today. So from Silent Road, you can actually enter via the Phillips property. So we have a great relationship with them. So historically, all concrete trucks, any semis enter through their property, and we just give them a couple days notice. So they come from the back end if they are over 60,000 pounds. If they're under 60,000 pounds, you can actually go, there's a loop around the Minnequaw, and so you can go around that, or more visitor traffic goes over the bridge.
Now, you show a proposed road. Is that coming into this consideration, or is that on your own later on if you want?
It's, in all honesty, it's what we're looking at from just a cost viability perspective. So essentially, the Phillips have offered to lease us an additional 40 acres on the front of the property, and that we would bring a road through that property and or lease it and create an easement on it to enter our property, so that essentially wouldn't be going through their house. So in all honesty, we're just looking at the cost viability of it, and so that's part of, I mean, just to get a few more quotes, and then we'll be approaching our guys about, if we were to do that, we'd have to do a new bridge, so it's just kind of trying to figure out all of those elements.
I don't think I said, what's the capacity of your well now? And what are you going to have to go to if you complete this plan?
So the capacity of the well in terms of what?
Well, I'm assuming we're talking a freshwater well, or is that the hot water well?
Yeah, so that's the hot water well.
Okay.
Yeah, and then part of the contingency is the freshwater well.
So you might increase the hot water well?
No, the hot water well.
It's good?
Yeah, the hot water well, we use, I think, somewhere between 9 and 10% of our
Okay.
currently. So even if we, quadruple it, we're still, way under where we need to be.
But freshwater, you're gonna run up against it. What's the capacity of your well now?
How many gallons per minute?
Well, yeah, versus if you put all these camping sites in and fill them up?
So we haven't dug the freshwater well yet, so we're in the process of figuring out what water we can bring in, what water we can bring in from the property, and if that needs to be augmented at all.
But you'd have to get a new well permit to do that, right?
Correct, yeah, we're in that process right now.
Sean, there was a comment in here that the well may require designation as a public water system. Is that going to be any problem?
So it won't require that. It's based on the number of usage and if you're piping to individual sites. And so that's not the case with this, so that's not a requirement. That'll need to take place.
Okay. All right. And you actually expect maybe 200 people per day, 200 cars per day coming in?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
So the request in the application was expected trip counts within the next 10 years. We really don't see that anytime soon. We're looking to phase out the approach so that essentially we can, similar to Howard Creek, test the model. And so in our submission, we have a phase 1, which is like a smaller amount of trailers, campsites, et cetera, and then we'll grow up to that trip count amount.
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
The engineer, structural engineer, was working for you of all, is that correct?
You mean we hired them? Yeah.
And they indicated that their bridge capacity was 40,000 pounds, 20 tons. In the application, there was an indication that 2 or 3 concrete trucks were coming over today.
In the sealed letter from Evolve?
I'm sure I read that someone had stated there's 2 or 3 concrete or mixers that come over that.
Not that I'm aware of. We acquired the property in October, so I can't speak for what's happened prior to that. We haven't had a single concrete truck over whatsoever, and we're bringing all concrete trucks. I know even in '93, all concrete trucks came through the back entrance on the Phillips property.
Okay, so they come around, they don't cross that bridge?
No.
Because that's not signed.
What's that?
The bridge is not signed.
Correct, yeah. So we've actually already ordered the bridge. We've already ordered the sign for the bridge. But to the best of my knowledge, I don't think there's been a single concrete truck that's gone over it. Because I know the previous owners, we have all photo documentation of it, of the pool being built. They brought those all through the back end.
I saw the same comment you did, Mike.
It was from 1984.
Was it?
It was a comment made to the structural engineer somewhere in the 84-ish area.
Okay, that was from the original application.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that concerned me because obviously a concrete truck weighs more than 40,000 pounds.
No question. Yeah. I have no intention of bringing a concrete truck over that bridge. And so we have alternate routes.
Well, my concern is if it's going to be signed, there's no way to enforce that, I guess, unless and it's impractical to say, you're going to stand out there and make sure. But the signage is very, very important.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I absolutely agree. Yeah.
And the rest of the signage that the
speed limit
county has requested.
Yeah.
Likewise is very important.
Nope.
Speed limit.
Yeah.
And it makes me nervous. I took 3 trips out there.
Okay.
And if I was pulling my rig out there, I'd be really nervous.
When you say pulling your rig,
My travel trailer.
Oh, so we're not actually,
I know
yeah,
there's
that's
no
not what
place
we're
to turn
doing.
around. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
At some point in the future, that road that you have going off to the potential campground is not going to turn. It's like we're at your facility. It's going to go bypass it and go around. Is that correct?
You're saying the new road will go around to the campsites?
After the bridge. After the bridge, and then it would go on around. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I think I'm not understanding. You're saying the new road or the current road?
Well,
because there's an optional proposed road.
The proposed road for that campsite goes where? Why don't you give us an overview of that?
Sure. So there's
Do you have
the
a laser there, Sean? or-
I can just walk up to it, if that's helpful. What's that?
See?
I have a finger. That's helpful.
I don't have one.
So, should I just walk up there?
Yeah.
So the current access point is right here, as you can see. So we have an easement across in that yellow line, the Phillips property, and that's where you currently enter. So you go over the bridge and enter the property. So you would go here for entry to the pool, and then there's a few areas over here that you can park. Let's just say if you have a Class B or B. The green road is the possible alternative road that we're working on, so that would be through the Phillips property, so that would be the 40-acre lease that we would rent.
So you haven't dialed that in yet?
No, we haven't finalized that. We're just, honestly, it's just figuring out the cost viability of it, but it's something that the Phillips have, essentially said that they'd offer us a favorable lease in order to do that. So that's what we're in the process of now.
Well, and the reason I brought it up is I'm always concerned about turning radiuses and line of sight. And it was hard to distinguish where you're going to. It's hard to distinguish where you're going to actually. How you're going to get into that proposed campground area.
So are you saying based on what the roads are today or based on what they'll be as shown in the site plan? Because they will be updated and different. So we're widening the roads, we're putting in turnarounds. So we're not staying with the current roads.
You're not there yet.
Oh, no. This is what we're requesting to do today. So all of the roads will be widened. All of these roads meet county requirements and have been reviewed by our engineer prior to submission. So what you're seeing today is not what it will be after it's built.
Okay. I mean, I just am more concerned about access and how people get there safely.
Sure.
The one other question I have is the report from Evolve was pretty extensive. But the one thing that they didn't have in it was the potential longevity of that bridge.
Yeah, so what we went through with them, and this would be part of, they said it's actually in excellent shape. I know, from the surface, it's tough to gauge, but if you actually go underneath, it's in excellent shape. So their recommendation was, in addition to the resurfacing of the top area, doing essentially cross-member lateral supports, having those welded in, and that should, I don't know off the top of my head how long that will extend the life, but significantly longer.
So at that point, who's going to take care of that?
At which point?
At the point that you have to go in and reinforce, or?
But we're planning on doing that prior to development. That's all part of it. I would say probably within the next 6 months. So that would be addressed. My thought is, if we're taking off the top surface, why wouldn't we just do it all at the same time? It's not, yeah.
Sounds like Michael really is insisting we get that signage up, okay?
Oh, yeah. So the sign's already been ordered, prior to this. So that's going in, and we're actually going to be lighting the signs as well, which I don't think is a requirement, but we're going to do.
Okay. You might put up some sign about there being no turnaround. There's not a large area where you could turn, if someone did pull in there by mistake with pulling their camper or something.
And so are you saying prior to the bridge or after the bridge? Because there is a turnaround right prior to the bridge. That's where the dumpster is. That's where the garbage trucks go and turn around.
Well, that'd probably be a good place for that sign then,
Just a turnaround sign?
I would think.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, other comments? Mark?
No, I'm just, I guess my question is for Sean. So the repair on the bridge, I believe you, I'm sure it's going to get fixed. It's just, I would like it to be either a contingency or a condition. I'm not sure which is appropriate or either.
We want to make that a condition to make sure it got done.
Right.
Okay.
I've got no
Yeah,
problem with that.
I just.
So we can add that as
We're asking fire
a
trucks to
condition.
drive over that, I think it should be a condition.
Okay, we can make that a condition on that.
I'm sorry, when you say, oh, you're saying fire trucks? Okay.
Fire trucks.
Gotcha, okay. Yeah.
I think it should be a condition.
I've got no problem with that. Yeah.
Gardner, anything else?
No, I think it's a great project. I wish you luck. And, yeah, see ya.
Thank you.
I just, what is your time frame for the overall plan?
I think it depends on this process to a certain degree, but probably once we have all of our permits in here, building department, et cetera, probably about 6 to 9 months realistically for development between the roads and bringing utilities out to the sites, et cetera. So that's kind of the range that we're looking at. So we're trying to figure out how long of a time we need to do a hard shut, and that's looking probably about 3 months, where we shut down completely for development, and then we'll potentially open up day use, and then just work on some of the other parts of the property for another 3 to 6 months.
Sounds pretty fast for what you've got in mind.
What's that? Yeah, I mean, it's actually not that, in terms of structures, it's not that many, because it's really bathrooms. We're building a lot of bathrooms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to have to run new power into your site with all these RV hookups?
No, we actually have really stellar power. Went through it with San Isabel we have power lines literally running along the road, and I went through with them, everything, and they said, you have more than enough for what you need right now.
Before we have a motion, we should be talking about the criteria for special review uses. They all have to be met. And those are in your tablet, if you can find them there. I keep a copy with me so I have quicker access. But as far as I can see, there's no problem here with those. But we should consider that and approve this application. Go ahead. Yeah. Michael.
2 more questions, and I'm just trying to get a feel for this. So on the south side, the Airstreams are something you're going to buy, and they're going to be in place.
Correct.
And when I zoomed real close in there, I saw like an outdoor shower. Is that what I saw?
Yeah, so we have different levels of sites. So we have a Class B RV. We have kind of like a tent/dome, which is what we're calling level 1. Then level 2 is an Airstream that does not have an outdoor shower. And then level 3, we included, and we have in our OWTS, an outdoor shower. In all likelihood, we're looking at potentially not doing the outdoor showers, but we have, that is planned for in our OWTS.
Okay. What does your water supply to the Airstreams look like? Are you going to trench that in, or are you going to?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Trench in water and septic.
Okay. And then on the other side, I see glamping tents, and I couldn't quite make out phase 3 there. Are those just for anybody to camp? Are those just camp spots?
No, phases is phase is the volume or the quantity of sites. It's not any different sites. So
Okay,
essentially, we're starting with 4 different types of sites, but we're not doing everything that we're going to do in 10 years up front. So we're going to slowly phase that out, but there won't be any different types of sites in the phases.
So it's not really a campground as much as it is show up and stay in your campers.
Yep, exactly.
The glamping.
Yep.
Okay. All right. All right.
What's your water temperature coming in there?
It averages between 117 and 120, typically 120.
Okay.
So yeah, and I have a report on that as well. I have stacks. LJ, I'm not sure if any of you knew LJ and Roe. They had really stellar record keeping throughout the years.
Okay. Other questions?
Sean, question for you. Just for clarification, this is a major modification to include the conversion of an existing CUP. Roll together?
That's correct. So it's all going to be one. So the existing CUP was approved as the conditional use permit. We just did transfer ownership. So this could, since it's an existing permit, this would be a modification. But because both the uses, the pool and the travel trailer parking campground, fall under the SRU category over the CUP, we're just going to relabel it as an SRU. So approval criteria, application requirements, all that is the same for the two, with a few exceptions, like if it's a mine, we got to have mining permits, those type of things. And then CUPs generally have a few more conditions set to them, limiting hours and those type of things. And they generally have a lifespan of a shorter nature, so 40 years. And this also got approved for a life of use of the existing CUP. And so converting it to the SRU is the easiest way to clean it up and go.
So do they have to come back before the planning commission?
No.
No. Okay.
When the county did the rezoning in 1995, we gave all existing CUP holders the option to convert it to an SRU, with the plan that if it came up for renewal and it was more appropriate as an SRU than a CUP, the county would do that and make them fall under the SRU process. And so this is just an old CUP, and it hasn't come before the county for anything other than renewals and a transfer of ownership. But since there's a modification now, we're going to convert it to the SRU. It fits better under the zoning.
Okay.
Thanks for that clarification. Okay, more questions? Everybody done? I'm not trying to rush you.
I'll make a motion, we approve SRU 20-10 with, what, condition on the bridge? Or is that in or out? Is that satisfied?
So it would include that condition on the bridge. So the 4 recommended conditions, and then that the bridge be included on that condition along it as well.
And we have a waiver of the hard surfacing.
Okay, waiver of hard surfacing. That cover it?
And
Do we need to put anything in
would you
there?
add, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do we need to put anything in there regarding signage?
I think it is in there. Yeah, as a condition already.
Yeah.
And we should probably have the approval of A through 1 through 7 of the criteria for special use. Can you include that in your?
Yes.
We need to do that, actually.
Yeah, I understand, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have just one question. Within the application, there's an indication that if dust does occur, that you would apply calcium chloride if needed.
Yeah, I think the language from the county was if, not if there's dust, but if there's dust and there's complaints, that we would do it.
That's actually covered under condition 1.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure it's
Yep,
brought up.
yep.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor.
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, Larry?
Aye.
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 Good luck. I
Thank
think
you.
it's a nice project you're tackling.
Thank you, I'm excited about it. Yeah, and would love to have all of you guys out.
Okay, all right. All right, anybody else have anything today? I don't think so.
What's next month looking like?
I'm gonna adjourn the meeting, yeah, then we can talk to Sean. Oh, I'm sorry, did you have something back there?
Observing.
You're getting ready to come back with another wine?